Good afternoon, Patriot pals. Thank you for joining me. Have a good day and God bless you. Let's get into the news. And things are not looking good for Biden in any sense of the word, because not only does he have classified document issues that are going on, I continue to find more and more every time they are searching. And his continuing line about it say, oh, no, that was all of them. Oh, no, never mind, there's another batch. Well, turns out, there's more evidence of corruption that is surfacing right now. If you remember earlier, or late last year, Biden was selling our strategic oil reserves to China. And people were wondering, why was he doing that? We were already at a critical low level with him releasing the oil to strategic oil reserves to try to lower gas prices because it was bad politically for him. So he was going to use our national strategic oil reserves to try to lower those prices. Now remember, this was the same time or a couple of years earlier, back in 2020. Was summer 2020. Trump tried to refill the strategic reserves to a full level by buying cheap oil, and the Democratic Congress shut him down on a day to not allow him to do it. They had no problem allowing Joe Biden to sell our strategic oil to China. Well, there's more to the story. Apparently, there was a deal made before Biden was installed to sell our strategic oil to China. So let's kind of dive into what we have here. It says uncovered email names Joe Biden oil deal with China. Then later in 2022, Biden sold national oil reserves to Hunter's connected Chinese company. Yes, people 10% for that big guy. Absolutely. And 2020 Hunter Biden's laptop hit the news and emails were uncovered involving Hunter Biden, Jim Biden, and Joe Biden. These emails and text messages showed multiple pay-for-play schemes involving the Bidens and major players around the world including officials in China. One email was located showing 10% to the big guy. The big guy was Joe Biden. The Bidens were involved in multiple deals with China involving hundreds of millions of dollars this week. Daily Mail uncovered another email found on a Hunter Biden laptop. That includes Biden and a 2017 email discussing a multi-million-dollar gas deal with China. Joe Biden was named an email found on Hunter's laptop discussing 25 million-ton gas deal with China. DailyMail.com can reveal exclusively in October 2017 Hunter and his uncle Joe's brother, Jim Biden, were brokering a multi-million-dollar deal to supply gas from Louisiana to the country on behalf of their business partners. Chinese energy giant CFC. At the time, Joe Biden had finished his term as vice president and had yet announced any plans to run for president in 2020. A Louisiana-based lawyer on the other side of the deal wrote in October 27, 2017 email that he had arranged a call from Joe Biden and Hunter Biden on Monday morning to discuss the purchase of the 5 million tons of gas. Here's the email right here. Dear Jim and Hunter, I confirm that your contact with the Chinese gas sale Chad, whatever located in their office in Houston, his email, blah blah, blah. I confirm I have a request available for a call from Joe Biden and Hunter Biden on Monday morning to discuss the purchase of 5 million tons of gas. Sincerely, Robert W. Fent. We don't know how much money Hunter and Joe made in this deal with China after Biden stepped into the White House after stealing after the 2020 election. Biden killed President Trump's energy policy that made America energy independent. Then Biden began taking from the U.S. oil reserves that President Trump had replenished during his time in office. Biden drained these reserves to help China. The Washington Free Beacon reported that Biden lied to the American people and took oil from the U.S. oil reserves not to help Americans at the pump, but to help China power. The future founder Daniel Turner admonished by them for selling raw materials to Communist China Chinese for them to use as they want. We are assured that Biden was releasing this oil to America so it could be refined for gasoline to drive down prices at the pump. So right off the bat, they were just lying to the American people. Turner told the Washington Free Beacon, what they were saying they did and what they did are not remotely related. Turner also said a decision highlights a Biden's family's relationship with China. Biden's son Hunter Biden is tied to Snowpack. In 2015, a private equity firm he co-founded bought $1.7 billion stake in the marketing, and Snowpack went on to enter negotiations to purchase a Gazprom. In March, 1 month after that, The Biden administration sanctioned the Russian gas giant. Biden sold 1 million barrels of oil from the U.S. reserves to the same company connected with Hunter. So again, more of this stuff is surfacing. It is no surprise to me. They are working to take Biden out right now to deep state. Do people connect with Obama? People connected with Google robots are ready to move from Biden, ready to install their next puppet? Who will be Kamala Harris, by the way, before the end of the year? They're ratcheting up the pressure. We see people leaving the administration. People are resigning because they know the ship is sinking and Biden will be forced to resign, or he will be removed through the impeachment process, and either way they are going to get rid of this man. And this is some big news. I did want to comment on the astonishing controversy that's coming out of the wide world of sports this week and what it really says about the sort of clash of civilizations that's going on inside our own society, our own nation. Many of you familiar with the professional hockey player, Ivan Prover, off of the Philadelphia Flyers. Actually, his full name is Ivan Vladimirovich Provanov. So obviously, he's a very, very bad man. He's really, really evil, right? Okay. So, this week, the Flyers, for whatever reason, scheduled a pregame warm-up where the team wore LGBT pride-themed jerseys and used sticks wrapped in rainbow tape and the like. And Ivan, who's a devout Russian Orthodox, absolutely refused to participate. He refused to wear the LGBT badge on his uniform. In fact, he refused to even just participate in the pregame warm-ups. And then, when confronted by the sports media, which is notoriously left-wing, when confronted to explain himself, how dare you write? They went full grid on him. How dare you? How dare you not fly the rainbow flag? How dare you exercise your freedom of conscience of a forced activism? To all of that, Provorov simply said, I respect everybody's choice. My choice is to stay true to myself and my religion. And that's all I'm gonna say about it. And when he was pressed, well, what is your religion? You stood there and said, boldly and proudly, Russian Orthodox. Now, you would think in a healthy, rational society, that would be the end of it. I respect everybody's choices. I would hope you afford me the same respect. Simple, right? It's historically what we call tolerance. That tolerance is the last thing that Ivan got from the legacy media, and particularly the sports media, one fellow in particular, NHL Networks. I believe his name is Haradec. Again, an utterly frothing left-wing lunatic. He actually went so far as to suggest not only that, Ivan, go back to Russia, but perhaps go ahead and get involved in the conflict in Ukraine. I mean, who the hell needs to get out of here if you're not going to embrace our liberal values, of course, being liberally shoved down your throat? And in fact, if you think it through, what this guy over at the NHL Network said was embrace our liberal values, or go and get yourself killed. My, how liberal. And that's exactly how Elon Musk interpreted those words. He responded to a tweet that pointed out that the gay movement had gone from calling for equal rights to basically go ethic die in a trench war if you don't wear our freakin' pride shirts. So Musk replied, yes, the pendulum has indeed swung a bit too far. And he's absolutely correct on that now. The good news is Musk isn't alone. Prover all jersey sold out in their merch store. I think it was like within 24 hours, in a massive show of support for him standing up to this woke madness. As Elon tweet indicated, there are far more people who despise wokeness than there are woke right the moment we all decide to stand up against this. It all comes crashing down. So that's the good news. Until that, we really are seeing a very disturbing trend of forced activism throughout our professional class. And that's coming from a larger phenomenon or process that scholars call refeudalization. I really like this concept because it helps us to understand and interpret wokeness in light of this larger social phenomenon that's going on. Refeudalization is a term that refers to the ways in which the structure of Western society, particularly here in the United States, is increasingly reflecting the kind of caste system or social structure that characterized the feudal Middle Ages. So, for example, today, like then, you have an astonishing concentration of wealth and power, where very few people control pretty much everything. So 5 years ago, 400 billionaires own half the world's assets. Today, it's just 100 billionaires. So you've got this astonishing, tremendous concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a few, but more than that, and this is key to us. For us here, we're seeing today a comparable kind of enforced religious fundamentalism. Now, of course, back in the Middle Ages, it was a clerical class that was in charge of it. Was the church that provided the totalizing vision of reality in which we all had to live. But today, scholars have noticed through a process known as secularization, to date, that role is being duplicated by what's called a clerici class. And a clerici class is a pseudo-intellectual class dedicated to woke fundamentalism made up of the environment, gender, and race and, of course, LGBT issues. But the key here is that, like with religious fundamentalism, as it were, there was no room for dissent. Dissenters are heretics, and that's because they operate with what's called totalizing categories. And totalizing categories, at least today, are very, very simple. You're either pro-LGBT or you are anti-LGBT, you're homophobic, right? There's no in between. You're either pro-woman or you're anti-woman, you're misogynist, you're either for equity or you are anti-equity. You're either for social justice or you are anti-social justice, there's no in between. Again, the key here is that instead of living under a clerical class enforcing church dogma, we're now living under a clerici class, a class of pseudo-intellectuals from the universities and professions. The credential class comprised largely of the legacy media, particularly in this case, the sports media, which is about the business of enforcing woke orthodoxy, and burning heretics every bit as much as any ecclesial authority would have been doing. That's how you get these asinine, absurd statements coming from the media, that Prover all should go and get himself killed if he refuses to wear a freaking pride shirt. The pride shirt for these people is a symbol of fidelity to their new religion, the religion of wokeness, right, just like bending the knee before a soccer game, right, or football if you're from across the pond. It's a symbol of submission. And I'm very heartened to see that more and more prominent people are standing up and saying, "Fu, here I stand, I will not kneel, I will not recant. I don't buy your woke religion, and there's nothing you can do about it." God bless Ivan Vladimirovich. Thanks for being here, folks. Big hug. Ciao. Goodbye. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.